talking about self-management with imposter phenomenon, or to overcome imposter phenomenon. And we're going to be looking at self-reflection, goal setting, and emotional regulation. Now, to give some background on imposter phenomenon, actually, that's what it should be called. It's not a syndrome. It's based on experiences. And these are experiences that start either when you're really young or build up over time. But it is not a disorder. It's not something that you're born with. It's something that is created within you over time, not because of you, but because of other issues. And I'm going to get back to that in a bit. But imposter syndrome, as is well known, will affect your own success. It creates a lot of self-doubt. You don't feel you're good enough. You're not good enough for your job. You're not good enough for other people in a relationship, anything of that nature. And you seek out external resources to validate yourself. You're constantly looking for other people or other things or other achievements to show your own worth and your own value. And with this aspect, I mean, again, it could be jobs, it could be people, it could be an achievement of a degree. The problem is you don't see this for yourself. So you're constantly, even once you've achieved that degree or that particular job position, you then still feel like you're not good enough and you're going for the next thing because you need other things to validate you. And with this desire for validation and approval from others, because you don't see it within yourself, you will constantly then experience anxiety, stress, depression. There'll be a negative self-perception. There'll be a lot of procrastination, even paralysis, where you just can't take that next step because of the swirling thoughts of being a failure or not being good enough. And it's this really complicated cycle because, again, like I said, you can experience procrastination and paralysis, but you'll eventually get yourself to move that next step, but then you won't feel like you truly have achieved it. So you kind of go backwards again, and then the cycle starts over. Some statistics, sorry. Approximately 70 to 85% of the entire population of the planet will actually experience imposter syndrome at some point in their life. Most people, though, will experience it in aspects of new developments in their life, whether it is a new job or some new growth or new aspect, and they struggle with feeling like that this is really the right thing for them. Oftentimes, though, within a few weeks to a couple of months, a lot of those imposter feelings and thoughts calm down, and they start realizing that, you know what, I got a handle on this, I'm starting to do pretty good. And so it doesn't really affect them. However, it's been found that, and this figure is a little uncertain for sure, because it depends on what you're looking at, but it could be up to about 60% of people who are more on the creative side or high achievers will actually experience imposter phenomenon for much of their life, including women, and that's what I'm getting to. And with this too, is that 65% of the people who experience moderate to high imposter syndrome will often, even though they will actually know that seeking out help is good and that the actual coach, therapist, friend, whoever it might be, is actually of value, they will not seek out help because of the stigma and fear, either externally from outside looking in or within themselves about looking for mental health help, for instance, or help with imposter syndrome. And so they hold on to it. And again, it's all with help within. And initial findings from early studies on imposter syndrome were focused on women because it was felt like women are the ones that were experiencing this more. And this is what was really affecting them compared to men. Over the past many decades, though, it's been found that women and men, for the most part, equally experience imposter syndrome. However, women seem to experience it more intensely, and there are a lot of other factors that will affect more women than often men. For instance, of course, naturally gender, that's one of the big ones, but also culture, there's general bias, there could be family bias, there is the general stigma about either gender or about what your life should be, and there are expectations and societal perceptions as well that get weighed on and upon women who have to then fight through this. And even when they've again been able to achieve things, because of past experiences and people saying negative comments or having a negative perception or negative expectations, it weighs on them and makes it really difficult for women to actually take that next step, regardless of how qualified they are, because they just don't feel like maybe they should or they can. And it's again because of this imposter syndrome mindset that has been basically thrust upon them. Many traditional interventions will look at getting into a support group or talking with other friends or people that you trust The challenge with that is that many people who experience imposter syndrome will sit in a support group and then they'll go, yeah, but I'm not as bad as they are. They've really got it. And yeah, they should be here. I shouldn't. I'm not deserving of being here. Or talking with a friend, and I'll get back to this part too. Talking to a friend, it'll be like, okay, but yeah, but my friend's my friend. They're going to say nice things to me. So yeah, no, it's not really true. So there's constantly this internal stigma and internal bias of you not believing your own worth. So when you hear praise from others, you're going to discount it. The whole concept of using self-management is to shift you from seeking out the external validation to you actually acknowledging and recognizing your own internal validation and seeing that your own worth is what's important. It doesn't matter what anybody else says, good or bad. Good stuff is always great, it adds to it. But knowing that you yourself actually see the self-worth is what's important. Now, understanding how self-management works is that this is an introspective process. It's to connect you with your own qualities and your own character and who you are, which is what the whole idea is. We're taking something from the external, pulling it into the internal. And you want to be able to see that you are at the center of your own development and your own growth. Again, with external praise, we'll get people who will say, talk to your friends and coworkers, or it's like if you go to them and go, I'm just really not good at this job, and your friends will say, oh no, you're really great, you're doing an awesome job, we love you here. You discount it because you're going, yeah, but you're supposed to say that. And if your boss says it, it's like, yeah, but your boss will say it because, well, they want to be nice, they want to keep me around, it's going to be harder to hire somebody else. You find ways to discount your reasoning and reasons why you should be there. So you want to be able to take these aspects of self-reflection and goal setting and emotional regulation and pull them into you so that you are more aware of how you think. You are more aware of how to reframe your thoughts and ideas and being able to shift and focus on what emotions are you feeling, why are you feeling them, and then how can you actually move forward from that point, as opposed to being held back by them and being restricted in your own personal and professional growth. So this is what we're going to be going through in these next 3 steps. So the first one here is self-reflection. And self-reflection is exactly it. You're basically reflecting upon yourself. But it's taking it to that deeper step of not just saying, oh, wow, it's been a really bad day, or I feel terrible. It's going, but why? Why don't I like myself today? What's going on? And it's really getting you into that deeper understanding of who you are and what's happening. Looking at your negative thought patterns, because with imposter syndrome, that's what occurs. It's a negative thought pattern where you're going, oh, I just don't like myself. I'm never good enough. I can't do anything right. And then pausing on that thought, when that thought pops up, going, wait, this is a negative thought for myself. This is negative self-talk. Okay, why am I having it? Why am I thinking of this? Where does this thought come from? And this takes time. Please understand that what we're going through today on self-management, this is not a one-stop thing. You're not going to be able to get this done in a day and walk through without imposter syndrome. It's an aspect of building on step by step and growing from the inside out of your own self-esteem and self-worth. But taking it to this point of becoming more aware of your own self-criticism and self-judgment and trying to figure out, okay, well, where does this come from? How long have I been experiencing this? When do I think I may have first started? You may not have clear answers all the way through, but it may actually help to start unraveling the understanding as to where it first came from. And it might actually lead you back to, wow, okay, I remember when I was a kid and my parents would always say, oh, you're not good enough for that. Oh, you won't be able to do that. And so over the years, it just builds up and it stayed with you. Or it could be an aspect of going, well, if you don't achieve this goal, then you're not good enough. And it's all about the end goal. So you're always focused on the end goal, but not the steps of growth up to it. And most of the time, like even if you did achieve and you were doing better, if those were dismissed, you're focusing again on that end goal. So again, you're not good enough unless you achieve that end point. It could be trauma-based from something else. It could be connected to your culture. It could be connected to gender straight up. I mean, easy. Oh, you're a woman. You're never going to be able to do that. Women don't do that. Women aren't good enough for this. And over years, society, media, culture, family, whatever it might be, that will build and build. And because when you hear that over and over, it slowly becomes that internal thought that, well, I guess it's true because that's all I ever hear. So it takes time to break that down. And it takes time to redirect your own thoughts to your own growth and development. One of the things you can do, though, is as you're starting to recognize these thoughts and you start to recognize them for the negative thoughts that they are, shift and start going into more positive self-talk. Now, again, it's easy to say and hard to do. Most of the time, those negative thoughts are going to come up. So, for instance, when you come across a negative thought going, oh my gosh, I always make mistakes. When you're feeling imposter syndrome, that's where it stays. With self-reflection, pause and go, okay, wait, I do make mistakes. Everybody else makes mistakes too. And each day I'm getting better. So here you're acknowledging the negative thought. You're understanding that this is a negative thought, but you're also shifting towards something more positive for yourself. You're building it up. So this way you can start to see that, okay, yes, I do make mistakes happen, but I'm working to improve on it. And it's just a small step, but it can make a big difference. One other thing to keep in mind, and this goes with other stuff, but when you're using very absolute wording, it can make it really difficult to shift. So it's like, oh, I always make mistakes, means that there's no room for error. That's why when you start using other words afterwards, stating, okay, but I'm slowly learning and I'm doing better, will help to shift you out of that. Also, if you're looking at it in this way too, like, oh, well, everybody's always so much better at this job than I am. Pause, reflect, and go, okay, wait, that's my thought, that's my emotion, but is that really true? Okay, well, these people have been here for 4 years or more. I've only been here for a few months. So it's a matter of me growing and learning to know that I'm actually improving, I'm growing. Yes, I'm not as good as they are yet, that's okay, but I'm working towards it. And again, self-reflection. Okay, I've been here for 4 months. Do I know more than I did 4 months ago? Am I doing better than I did 4 months ago? Yes, okay, then I'm moving forward and I'm growing. And here again, you're seeing your own skills, your own quality, your abilities that are helping to pull you out of that imposter syndrome and that need for validation. You're starting to see your own qualities and worth by doing this. So it's a matter of kind of building on it. Something else that can help, journaling, writing stuff down, maybe reflecting once a week. What did you do this past week? What were some of your challenges? How did you overcome them? By writing it down, and yes, studies have been done on this. Many of you may already know that by writing things down, your brain actually imprints it better and you can remember these things better. So by doing so, you're able to actually reflect back, see it's all connected to it, reflect back as to what you had done this past week, what challenges you had. You can even say, writing in your journal, don't like sugarcoat it, say, oh, I sucked. This was a horrible week. I didn't do good at all. Write it down, but then pause and break it down into more details. Well, what sucked? What was difficult? What was a challenge? And then what did you do to overcome it? Or what steps are you coming up to overcome? This will help you to continually move forward and develop your next steps and starting to see your qualities, your character, your worth, and helping you to start shifting more away from the imposter and negative thoughts. Now, helping along with this is goal setting. Often when we think of goal setting, we're thinking of the big goal at the end, and that's the big thing. And that often is very challenging, especially when you've been experiencing imposter syndrome. That's what becomes very frightening. It's that big goal, I'm not going to make it, I'm going to fail. When you're going through goal setting, especially when you're experiencing imposter syndrome, you break it down into small steps. You're going to break it down into small, little, manageable steps, and those are the steps you're focused on. And as you're going through those steps, again, you're going to then see the achievements and the growth that you're having. You're not looking at, oh, it's the end goal, I'm never going to make it. You're going, what do I have to do today on this project? I have this project, it's due in 2 weeks. What do I need to do? Oh, well, I've got to write up a 25-page report on this particular thing. That's great. That's your end goal. What do you need to do to start? Okay, well, I need to research these 3 things, and I need to then write up some notes. Perfect. You pick one of those. Okay, I'm going to research this particular item, and I'm going to write up 10 notes. This way, it's very focused, it's direct, and you're able to manage it. And then at the end of the day, you can look back and go, hey, I did a good job. I researched that topic, and I wrote notes. I only had 8. I couldn't really come up with 10, but I got 8, and that's good. So again, it's showing you of your own quality. It's showing you that you are actually performing this task and accomplishing it. You're connecting in with what you are capable of doing. Another thing with goals, of course, SMART goals, something that we all hear about. And sometimes it can get overdone. We kind of think too much of it, but really it works well because they're very specific. You want to keep them very small. It's they're very measurable. You can see, okay, yeah, like I said, I wrote down 10 notes from this particular topic. And it's achievable, obviously. and relevant is relevant to the project that you're working on. Time can be a little flexible, but at the same time, if you're just focused on this is what I'm doing today, it works. So it's helping you to keep track of it. And then as you've gone through that day, again, like I was saying, look at the end of the day. What did you achieve? Well, I researched that topic, like I said, and I wrote 8 out of 10 goals or 10 points, notes, because that's all I could find. Perfect. You have achieved, are successful in that goal. You are the one that did it. And again, you're seeing you have the ability to do things. You are the one that's accomplishing it. And again, with this too, if it helps, at the end of the week, journal it out, write out. Well, what did I do this week? Well, I had this project, I broke it down into these steps, and I went through and I was able to accomplish it. It may seem mundane in some ways, it may seem really kind of simple, but being able to actually see our own qualities, see our own accomplishments, and recognize our worth is not mundane. And it is not easy, and it takes time to do so. So journaling it out will help you. The next part with goals is making sure that it's something that's within your control. There are many times that, especially when you're experiencing imposter syndrome, you feel like you should be able to do it all. I need to be able to do everything to show that I am the best and that I have actual value and worth. You can't do everything. There are some things that are out of your control. So understand what is within your control, and then what steps can you take to actually manage and work on those. By doing so, when you're going through these steps and you're working through this point of what's in your control, what can you manage, what steps can you take, and what are you accomplishing, it is actually eradicating those feelings of inadequacy, because you're able to look back and say, oh no, I did that. I've been doing those things. I've been overcoming these challenges. And it's fostering those feelings of your own growth and development. So you're starting to connect in from internal to move out and to actually be able to show that you can put this forward. Taking it to that next step is the third part of emotional regulation. And this is about mindfulness and self-compassion. And we're looking at creating a direction of the flow of process of how you're thinking and where you're going with it. And yes, it does tie in with self-reflection and even goal setting, but that's just it. These things are all tied together. They're not just independent. And it's a way that you can actually go through and help yourself and manage the emotional turmoil that brings or comes up because of imposter syndrome. You're acknowledging your emotions. I'm feeling very down today. I don't like myself today. But again, why do I feel this way? And what steps can I take to make myself feel better? Again, maybe it's a project. And that first thought of like, man, I just suck. I'm not doing a very good job today. Nothing is working. Okay. Sometimes we all have bad days. And so we can pause and go, okay, wait, today's a bad day. It's a frustrating day. What can I do to either help myself now or tomorrow? And maybe today is like, you know what, today's just a done day. We're not doing anything else. But what can I do tomorrow? It's like, okay, well, I've just been stuck on this project. I'm not going anywhere with it. But all right, I'm going to break it down into smaller steps. So again, we're going back to the goal setting. But it's you are regulating your emotions. You are not letting these emotions of like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible. I just never do anything good. I don't like this. This isn't fun. Everybody else is better than me. You're going, wait, pause. I feel this way because of. So it's giving you that chance to kind of assess and understand your emotions and really kind of tap into what you can do with it. At the same time, when you're experiencing imposter syndrome, you often feel like you can't celebrate your wins. They're not really your wins. I shouldn't really do it because other people can do it better than I can. It's not about anybody else. It's your journey. What are you doing for you? How is it working for you? So when you celebrate, hey, I did a really great job this week. I actually completed some really great things. I achieved this. I did whatever it was. Even up to bigger things, I earned this degree. Yes, that was you. So celebrate. Take yourself out for dinner if you want, or just enjoy an evening watching a fun movie, whatever works for you. But the idea is that celebrate the small wins as well as big ones because they're you. And this, again, helps you to connect in with your own worth. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to celebrate. I'm buying myself an ice cream cone tonight just because I can, because I feel good about what I accomplished today. That's fine. That's helping you to connect into it. And again, you're connecting in with those emotions of feeling good. You're not discounting them. You're not dismissing them. You're not saying, no, I shouldn't feel that way because I'm not good enough for it. You're going, you know what? This is good. I like this. I like this about me. Along with this, again, too, is connecting into that resilience and understanding that when you come across failures, they're not the end of the world. Because when you're experiencing imposter syndrome, a failure means you're a failure. It's not about the project. It's not about the item. It's about you. You're the failure, you're a terrible person, you're not good enough. This is where you start shifting it. And it's realizing that a mistake, a failure, if you want to call it a failure, is actually a time for learning. And if it's a time for learning, then you really didn't fail. You've learned something to apply to the next time, to the next project, maybe to the next day, depending on what's going on. So again, you're taking this and you're shifting your mindset, going from a negative, understanding, no, it didn't, yes, it didn't work out, but you can move forward with the next steps to it. And realizing that, okay, these aren't really setbacks. Yes, it's kind of messed us up here, but we're learning how better to manage this particular issue. We're learning how better to manage this particular project or interact with people. And I can use that with my next interactions. I can use that with my next opportunities. So you're here are nurturing your own self-compassion. You are actually looking at yourself going, you know what? It's okay. This isn't terrible. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to actually make some steps for the next time. When things like this come up too, sometimes, especially in the very beginning, you're negative about yourself. There's a lot of negative self-talk. Pause and even ask yourself, how does being judgmental towards you, how does having self-judgment help you? How is that actually helping you to grow and move forward or accomplish this goal? And it's another way of being able to reflect on what you're experiencing, the emotions that are connected with it, and pulling yourself together to take the next steps. Again, something that can sometimes happen too is putting yourself in another position. If a friend came to you and was like, oh, I'm such a terrible person, this never works for me, how would you help them? How would you show them their own compassion without just saying, no, you're a great person? It's getting them to see how they're good and start using that self-compassion, self-love, self-care towards yourself. Now, one really big thing with a lot of this is when you experience imposter syndrome, you're coming in with a fixed mindset, meaning everything is set in stone. I am never going to be as good enough because it just won't ever happen. I'm always going to make mistakes. It's that absolute mindset going on. And it's a matter of taking that and shifting it to the growth mindset, understanding. Not that everything is great, but that you can go, okay, so I can actually put in my effort, my energy, my time, and learn and grow from here to actually create better opportunities for myself. And that's the idea of what you want to shift to, which is why going through these 3 steps, you're shifting from external needs, external appreciation, validation, and pulling it into internally you so you can see that this is what I can do. This is what I am capable of doing. This is who I am because I have qualities, I have worth, I know my own worth because of who I am. Again, these things take time, but by going through these 3 things, you're slowly working to dismantle imposter syndrome and the self-doubt that comes with it. So understanding that the self-reflection, goal setting, and emotional regulation are what's going to help you to reduce this and reduce the imposter syndrome debilitating effects. This fosters the development of self-discovery, and it will build up your own skills, and it allows you to flourish on your own. You're able to kind of see your own worth and be able to grow from there. And by going through these and taking your time to reflect, understand your thoughts, how to break them down, where they come from, how to reframe them, and setting up your goals so that's something that's manageable, and looking back at yourself to realize that you can actually create the steps that you need to and be compassionate to yourself as you're going through these growth moments will help you to embrace more of your worth and your own value while building up your self-esteem and confidence. Keep in mind too, when you're going through something is that if you've been experiencing imposter syndrome for years, it's going to take time to break it down. It doesn't drop away right away. And seeking out help can be really good, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, whether it's some trusted friend. But keep in mind too, because of the past results, is that many people that experience higher imposter syndrome won't seek out help because they're afraid of the stigma and the bias that goes with things, and that may come to them or their own. So taking that time to realize, you know what, I want to break out of this. I want to move in a better direction for myself. I want to develop the life that I want. I'm going to need some additional help, because I can tell you about self-reflection and goal setting and emotional regulation. But when you get into it on your own, sometimes it's helpful to have another person to help you be accountable, help give you guidance, direction, things of that nature that can build up your own esteem. So this way, when you come across new challenges, they can help you redirect back to these techniques and these steps. At the end of it all, the whole idea is that you want to celebrate and appreciate your journey. that through embracing your own authenticity of who you are and owning your own successes and achievements, you will then start to be able to live the life that you desire. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Victor. That was really great information, lot of information you have shared with our audience today. So we really enjoyed your presentation. And here is the question from our audience. So how does imposter syndrome related to other mental health conditions? And what is the best approach for addressing it in a holistic way?
What is the best approach for addressing it in what way?
What is the best approach for addressing it in a holistic way?
Oh, in a holistic way. Okay. In a holistic way, again, it's being able to really kind of understand who you are, getting to that point of seeing yourself and your qualities, your character, and what you value. So you are connecting to who you are and your environment. At the same time, with that, connecting in with your environment, you want to understand how your environment is influencing you, positively and negatively, and understand what you can do to either shift it or move for yourself to be able to be in a more supportive environment. And this way, you're kind of connecting in with your overall understanding of your own body and mind, being able to be aware of your own mental thoughts, as well as how it's affecting you physically. And then, of course, the environment, that's an impactful aspect too.
Thank you so much, Dr. Victor, for answering this question. So yes, today we have done our day one event. We have successfully completed with Dr. Victor.
Thank you. I very much
So
appreciate
yes,
it.
so thank you so much.
Thank you again.
So yes, Dr. Victor, you can leave the session. So today, so I'm closing this session day one event. So on behalf of Win Ideas Global Conferences, we would like to thank each of you for joining us today. Thank you for attending these sessions. Please remember to complete the session's poll results. For each completed poll result submitter, best speaker will be entered into a drawing, the finalist for the best speaker award. Thank you so much for your continuous support for the day one. So please support us for tomorrow day two event as well. This is Melinda Roy signing off.